So thing number one. So I was in the middle of editing this video until I realized that I didn't even film an intro to the video. So Quinton Davis, I'm a free agent right now, and out of high school, I went to Jackson State University, which for those of y'all that don't know, is a Division I HBCU down in Mississippi. And this video is pretty much just talking about some of the things that I wish that I knew before going D1 out of high school. So I hope you guys get something out of this video and enjoy. As you guys may already know, is the talent difference. I went to a high school out in Michigan called Plymouth High School, and it was a pretty solid high school. Like, the way that Michigan works, they count their schools by division. So if you're Division I, you're in the best division. Division II, second best, pretty much almost like college, right? Plymouth was a Division I school, and it was pretty solid competition over there. Going from that to Jackson State, it's like it was a completely different ballgame. Some of the things that I would say that guys at D1 do differently than most of the players anywhere else, they're more fundamentally sound. Their game is a lot cleaner, and the majority of them have one or two outlying skills that separates them from everybody. So what do I mean by that? Well, when I got there, the coach held a private tryout for me because he wanted to see some of my tools. I wasn't necessarily a scholarship athlete, but the whole reason why I was on their radar was because I went to a summer camp the summer before, and they liked what they saw. So I went to the tryout, and the coach had me do all these things. He had me hit, he had me throw from the mound, he had me run, and I did all those things pretty well. But when I ran my 60-yard dash, I ran it in 6.8 seconds. Now, 6.8 seconds isn't that bad, right? But one of the things that he told me was every single one of his outfielders ran a 6.5 and below. For those of y'all that don't know, a 6.5 is like extremely fast. And that's what I mean by the outlying skills. Pretty much all of them had an outlying skill of speed, which is what got them on the roster. Now, after I went to Jackson State, I went to a JUCO and I went to an NAIA. And one thing that I can say is that the best players from JUCO and the best players from NAIA could play and could thrive at the D1 level. The only difference is that at the D1 level, there's more of the best players. There's more depth of talent on those rosters, basically. The second thing that I wish I knew was to have fun, but to limit the distractions. So one thing about going to a D1 school, at least at Jackson State, but I know it's pretty similar in a majority of the D1 schools from talking to some of my friends who went to other D1 schools, there is a lot going on campus. So Jackson State is a HBCU, and for those of y'all that haven't been to a HBCU or anything like that, the functions that they have are second to none. Like HBCU homecoming, there's really nothing like it. I'm sure that you could look up what HBCU homecoming is and see what I'm talking about, but it's a really live environment. And as an athlete, it's like you have to be able to see that, and yeah, you can probably partake in some of the functions and things of that nature, but the main focus has to be your sport, because it's very easy to get sidetracked with the life, especially if you're just leaving high school and going into this environment. It's very easy to get caught up in that life and to leave the baseball stuff behind. And another thing, right? So you're a D1 athlete, and one of the things that comes with that is you're going to get a lot more attention. I'm just keeping it real with you. Like, you're going to have more opportunities thrown at you, and if I'm just gonna be honest, there's likely going to be more women that are checking for you as well. And I would just say to be very careful with that as well. The main focus should be your sport and your studies. Pretty much that's why you're there, right? And don't let the distractions get into your head to derail you from the purpose on why you're there. The third thing that I wish that I knew, you don't have to go D1 to get drafted. If getting drafted or playing professional baseball is your goal, just know that the most important thing is getting a lot of high level reps to further your skill and also to get your name out there. The majority of freshmen that go D1 don't necessarily play that much their freshman year. When I was going into college, I was under the impression that you have to go D1 to get drafted. I've played at junior college and I've played at the NAIA level, and I've seen people get drafted straight out of both. So honestly, my recommendation, go somewhere where you're gonna get high level reps, where you're likely going to play, and then try to transfer into a D1 or a high level school after. Now, the fourth thing that I wish that I knew: first impression is everything. Now, I'm not just talking about people that are trying to come from my position of trying to go walk onto a team. I'm also talking about people who are trying to earn a scholarship, trying to get recruited while either in high school or at JUCO. So the reason I say that, right? The summer before I went into Jackson State, they held a recruiting camp for, different people that weren't signed yet, that they wanted to potentially sign for their upcoming year's team. So I went down there, and I went down with the mentality of, I'm gonna give it absolutely everything that I got, and I'm gonna show them that they could use me on their team. So when I got down there, hustled everywhere. When it came time for BP, took focused swings, focused controlled aggression, hitting every ball hard. And when it came time for fielding, I threw in around 90 plus during that tryout, and I was fielding every ball cleanly. So when the coaches saw all that, it made a pretty good first impression, and they were impressed. And that's what motivated them to come to me, tell me that they wanted me to come to their school, and ended up transferring out after that semester. So ended up not working out, but it was the first impression that was able to get me the opportunity in the first place. Also had another story about getting recruited by D1, and that's when I was going to JUCO. But that's something I'm probably going to touch on when I make another video about the things I wish I knew before going JUCO. One of the key things, as I'm saying, just make that first impression and make sure that your skills are on point when the people that matter come out to see you. The fifth and final thing that I wish I knew before going D1 is the amount of leverage that D1 gives you if you're looking to transfer from the D1. So after the summer tryout, like I said, I went to Jackson State, and they held another private tryout for me because they wanted to see my skills a little bit further. Ended up not making that tryout. So I started looking for some schools to transfer into that wouldn't want me on their team. And I can say that the amount of opportunities that I had during that time was much more than I had before going to that school. So coaches like having guys that come from D1s to be on their team, partly because of the experience that you get from that level, but also in many cases the guys that come from the D1 are really good players in the other levels that they play in. So those are the 5 things that I wish that I knew before going D1. Hopefully you found some of these things helpful to kind of just consider before taking that journey, or if you're just curious about what it's like to go that level. I know I didn't necessarily have like the longest experience there, but the things that I learned while I was there, it kind of helped shape my path throughout college baseball. So that's pretty much all we got for today. Drop a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch up with y'all.